Hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we talk about technical issues. What you see here is these are the data of my PC, Windows 10, of course, and we start with a view in a cockpit of the Su-27, as far as I know. You can see right now I fly this airplane only with the keyboard. So if you're an airplane pilot, tune your radio for a few seconds. So I'm just using the keyboard, and that would be enough to keep the airplane flying. So it's no dogfighting or something like that, but it still keep it. You can keep it in the air just by using the mouse and the keyboard. So what you can see on in the left upper corner, that's our frame rate. That's our main issue today. Frame rates above 100 up to 150 possible when flying in this airplane on my system. Because of my bad Russian, I don't realize I got shut down, and a rocket was approaching me and actually hit me. But that had nothing to do with the today's video. The important thing is in the upper left corner. So when we went back, we actually had DCS 1.5 on the Caucasus Mapp, and when we went to the UH1 and starting flying the UH1 on the Caucasus Mapp, and just refer to the upper left corner, you can see our frame rates between 70, sometimes 100 frames per second. That's quite high, but not far that high than in the airplane. So there must be a correlation between the aircraft you're flying, the frames per second, and the feeling you have on the flight controls. As I start flying DCS at the end of last year, I simply used the mouse pad on my Core 2 processor PC with a 5-year-old graphic card, but I could still fly it with the keyboard alone, just to see what's going on, what are the improvements, how great the graphics are, and stuff like that. And at the moment, I switched over to the UH1 model. Actually, I bought a joystick and a throttle. It doesn't run very well, so I bought a new graphic card. That's the one actually in the new PC as well. And as you can see, even in 1.5 Caucasus with the UE, we have frame rates about 70, 80, sometimes 90, 95, close to 100. So that's not that bad. But when we change to DCS 2.0, the Nevada map and the UH1 frame rates drops down very drastically. So okay, it's both. It's Nevada. It's in the beta state, and so there's a lots of improvement possible. But as you can see, we have now frame rates between 50, 60, sometimes 70 frames per second. That's not bad, but not that high that as on the Caucasus map in 1.5. So there's a big difference between these both versions of DCS. So let's bring it back to the ground. So the human eye needs 24 to 25 pictures a second to watch a movie fluently, but I can still see some stops in the videos. It doesn't run that smooth, but it's still flyable. So when we leave Las Vegas and we went to one of the airports north of Las Vegas in the desert, it looks much better. We get at least 20 frames per second more out of Las Vegas. So now in the UI we have 60 to 70, sometimes 80 frames per second. That's quite a bit more than over Las Vegas, and for me it's simple to explain. It's because there are not that much trees and not that much cars they have to render by the graphic card, but the difference is quite impressive. So in the UI I don't feel any changes in flyability. So it's, for me, it's makes no difference to fly the UI in Las Vegas or here in the desert. So even if my first attempt to fly the UI after many hours in the Gazelle are not that good, so with a little bit more experience and training right here, so it's much better to handle. So we bring it back to the ground. Oops, that's too fast. But still a safe landing. So now we are in the Gazelle, DCS 2.0, and we are in the Gazelle in Las Vegas International. So, and when you watch the upper left corner, you can see the frame rates dropped dramatically. So we, anytime below 50 frames per second, sometimes below 30 frames per second. That's very, very different from the airplane frames of 150. So we're losing more than 100 frames per second. That's a lot. And as you can see in the video, it doesn't run very smooth. So, and that's a point I actually feel on the controls. So that's have a big influence in flying the Gazelle over Las Vegas. So let's get a little bit lower. And let's go to a short visit of Las Vegas downtown. So there are the big buildings, the buildings with different shapes and different covers. So just to see if there is an effect on the frame rate, but it isn't. So the frame rate still between 30 and 50, sometimes below 30. Sometimes a little bit above 50, but the most of the time it's below 50. And it's still the same system, so I did not change anything. Simply switching from DCS 1.5 to DCS 2.0 and leaving Caucasus and visiting Nevada. Okay, that's fine. So let's try the Gazelle north in the desert. And as you can see in the upper left corner, we got an improvement of at least 20 frames per second. So out of Nevada, there are 20 frames per second more at my system. I already discussed this problem with Polyshop, but the guys have no experience with that, so they just prove it and think about it. Maybe it's a problem with the DCS model. So I would try to get in contact with the guys from Eagle Dynamics as well. And actually, I hope of your comments. What are your experience with frame rates in DCS, and especially when flying helicopters? And that's a hard landing, but there's a different and important point. Outside Las Vegas, hard landings are not that big issue, so my pilot doesn't lose consciousness. I did not crash that often, even if it's a hard landing. So there is something else different between these locations. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe on my channel, and I hope you see you next time. Bye bye.